Hello, it's Steve here with a bonus video for this short course on making kefir, and I want to talk today about making water kefir. Now, there'll be people out there, maybe you, who don't like to drink dairy, maybe you're a vegan or something. Milk kefir is not usually a problem for people with lactose intolerance because the fermentation process actually breaks down most of the lactose and the bacteria feed on those sugars. But what I do think is having a number of different fermented products that you can drink and eat at different times is a great thing to do. And the other thing about water kefir is it's super simple, cheap to make. You don't need to worry so much about always having good quality milk in the fridge, although I hope you do. I use raw milk anyway for that. But this is a really nice, very fizzy, it can be a relatively dry, non-sweet if you want to make it that way, refreshing drink. Great to drink every day, a couple of times a day I drink it. Really good for the summer. I was thinking the other day, it'd be a great base for some summer punch where you just throw in some apples, some strawberries, bits and pieces, some lemon. Really lovely. So I'm going to just run through the real basics on making this. Today I'm going to cover what you will do if you have got your new grains just arrived in the post. Maybe you bought them from me via the site at leanerbydesign.com or from Amazon. I've currently got my grains over in the fridge there. I'm going to grab those out in a minute. But it's a super simple process, and it doesn't have to be the same every time. As long as you're getting your grains, you're using filtered water, you're using the best quality sugar, fruit. I always go for organic, just because not because the organic label is necessarily the holy grail for health. There's lots of ways you can create organic products that aren't particularly great, but I do think that if you can go for the best quality ingredients that you possibly can, then that's a good thing. So let me just grab those out the fridge and I'll show you them. Okay, so here are our grains, and when you purchase them from me, or most other suppliers really, try to aim to be getting about 50 grams of fresh live grains, and that's usually about 3 tablespoons ish. I always provide that amount because I like to give people good value and make sure they've got plenty and they can get their water kefir off to a really good start. So we're going to have a receptacle, a glass jar to put our grains in, and our water, our sugar, and our sultanas or raisins. Again, fruit in there, not essential, but it does give it a really nice taste. So some of the other things you're going to need, and in the short video tomorrow where I'll be actually straining my kefir that I've produced overnight and showing you how to do that, you're going to need a couple of other things. So for the whole process really, we've got a glass jar, we've got a measuring cup, fine to start with, you won't need that in the end, you'll know what you're doing as far as quantities. We've got our live water kefir grains. If they come through the post, process them, start making your kefir on the same day. Don't just leave them lying around for a week because they need sugar to live and thrive. So you're going to want to get them into a sugar solution pretty quickly. We've got some organic sugar. Like I said, you don't have to use organic. You can use granulated white sugar. You can use this, which is just a raw cane sugar. You can use a dark muscovado. You can use molasses. There's a number of different things. I'd caution against using honey because it does have some antimicrobial products in honey which could make your ferment not go quite so well. Another thing, don't start using artificial sweeteners like stevia. These grains need proper sugar to feed on, so that won't work. And I've also got about 3 tablespoons of organic sultanas or raisins. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our sugar into our jar, and to start with we're going to be making just about 500 millilitres, so half a litre of water into here. Over the next few days you'll be able to increase the quantities and then make a litre or more per day as your grains increase in quantity. So 65 to 75 grams of sugar. I'm just going to pour that in to my jar. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this, and I've always done it just with cold filtered water, but you could, if you wanted to make it a bit easier to for your sugar to mix in with the water, is you could use some warm boiled water. So boil the water in a kettle, let it cool down, put it in here into your jar with your sugar, stir it up so your sugar is dissolved, and then just leave it to cool down, and that's fine. I tend to just use water like this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to, well, I could have just measured it in the jug, but I'm just going to do a couple of cups, which is about half a litre, into there. I'm going to pour it in. Place that to one side. And then I'm just going to stir. Now obviously with granulated sugar like this, it's going to take a little while with cold water to stir in. You know, white sugar stirs in quite quickly. Or you could do half a cup or 1 cup of warm water from the kettle, stir it in, and then 2nd cup cold water. So yeah, it takes a little while, but I'm never really organised enough to boil the kettle, and never patient enough to leave it to cool down. So I just go for it like this. Okay. Now I'm going to pour in my organic fruit. And give that a little stir as well. So that is actually stirring in, and what you're going to do is you're going to stir it at maybe every few hours over a 24-hour period, and so that will all dissolve into there. Now I've got my grains. I'm just going to pour those straight in. If they've just come through the post, I'd recommend you just give them a rinse in filtered water. I always apply my grains in some sugary water, just so that overnight whilst they're in the post they've got something to feed on. Just stir that in, and that, unfortunately to say, is how simple it is. Now there's a couple of extra things you could do. You could put half a lemon in here if you wanted to, gives it a nice lemony taste. You could get an inch cube of root ginger, take the peel off, you could put that in as well. You can also, further down the line when you really get into it, you can find maybe some herbs that you like the taste of. Maybe something like lemon balm would possibly go quite well. And all you're going to do with this is you're going to cover it. You're not going to put a sealed lid on, because the grains with the fermenting process will create gas, and you risk blowing the lid off, or if the lid's a screw top, it's possible, but unlikely, but possible that the jar could shatter. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put a piece of cloth over the top. A paper coffee filter works quite well, or a piece of lint-free sort of kitchen towel. Let me just go and grab some of that and show you how I do that. Okay, and I find kitchen towel works perfectly well. So we're going to take one of those, place that to one side. I usually just fold it up a couple of times so it's just roughly the size of the lid, because what I don't like is a ton of towel floating around, which, you know, I could somehow get caught and I could rip the whole thing off the shelf. So put an elastic band round there. Now that is ready to put away in the cupboard in a warm place for 24 hours. It can take a little bit longer depending on the temperature. It can take a little bit less. What you will see over a period of time relatively quickly is bubbles starting to emerge from the bottom, fizzing up. You'll notice also that the fruit at the moment, let me see if I can bring that a bit closer, is at the bottom. That over a period of time will rise, generally rises to the top, and you could just pick that out afterwards. Once you get into using a bigger jar, which I'll show you tomorrow with my own ferment that I make for myself, is you can get a slotted spoon, your fruit's risen to the top, you can slotted spoon, take the fruit out, pour it out through a strainer into your jug, and then you've got your grains ready to go back in for your second fermentation. What I'll also show you is how to bottle it up, or where to put it for a second ferment, just a couple of hours, gets it really nice and fizzy and sparkling and effervescent, and then just put it in the fridge and it's ready to drink at your leisure. So that is part one of this bonus video section on making water kefir. Hope you enjoyed it, and look at some of the other videos on making milk kefir too. Check out the grains in the Leaner by Design shop if you're in the UK, and they're also on Amazon. If you don't buy them from me, that's not a problem at all. I'm just more than happy that you can look at this course, get some PDFs and watch some videos so that you can make really great tasting water kefir every single day and enjoy the wonderful health benefits that it provides.